All right, here we have my configuration. I've got a laptop. It's an older Lenovo T61P laptop, but it does have a solid-state drive in there. And on the right here, you're seeing an interface that's going to allow us to watch the laptop even during reboots. But we'll get to that. Let's start with looking at what we have in front of us. I'm going to try Veeam Endpoint Backup, and I've got the beta here. But before we actually kick that off, I want to establish a baseline and demonstrate for you how long does it take to back up this laptop. Now I could also show you what's on this laptop. Under Programs and Features, yeah, it's got a little bit of stuff. Nothing crazy. And as far as its disk drive, if we have a look at the C drive in this thing, we'll see 44 of 89, so it's only about halfway full. So the backup shouldn't take that long. The first backup I'm going to do is with Windows Server 2012 R2 Essentials. That's the interface you are looking at here. So we'll pay attention to the clock. I'll kick off the backup, and then I'll speed up time until this is done. So the backup server is doing nothing else. And there was another backup done earlier today, so there's no, giant Windows updates bundle or something it hasn't tackled. This is just a routine daily backup. Okay, so I've resumed the video because suddenly it sped up there, and it just finished. So it says 10:48, but it finished at 11:06. Now let's dive right in and use Veeam Endpoint Backup. What I'm going to attempt to do is back up to the same network share. So standard Windows networking, let's see how it goes backing up to the same network share and see how long that takes. And then finally I'll try to do a bare metal restore. That's a really long YOLA. Okay. So notice this is definitely a fatter client. Now let's go to the decentralized model of Veeam Endpoint Backup, which is meant to be simple and emphasizes a single system at a time. You see a tray icon just showed up near my mouse there. Okay, I'm going to skip this because I don't want to use USB. Okay, we can create the recovery disk later if we want, or we can do it now. Go ahead and kick off that wizard. Stick a USB key in now here. Going to need one of those. As soon as I shoved it in, it showed up in the list. All right, so available boot media types. An ISO, so we can do something with it later, like burn a CD, or USB key, and include hardware drivers for this computer. And I can force other drivers in there if I need to. So let's just click Next. USB is going to be formatted. That's absolutely fine with me. Nothing on there of any importance whatsoever. And let's see how long it takes to get that media ready. Okay, so you'll notice a couple things. One is wireless networking. So Windows Server 2012 R2 Essentials Restore Media doesn't do that. Click Finish. We now just have the agent running in the tray. Let's see what kind of resources it's taking up. Let's also see how much less free space we have in our C drive than we had before. So there we go, 44 out of 89. So that's our answer there. Maybe a better way to do that would be Programs and Features, sort by the install day, and you'll see the pieces that came along with it. So we got there's versions and there's your size on disk. If we look at details here and sort by description again, we should have Veeam, tray icon and service, pretty light on its feet there too. But of course we got the SQL Server stuff going on too, and that's not as light. Still not that big a deal. Again, this is an older, slower laptop. So I'm now going to attempt my first use of the GUI. I double-clicked it, and I try to do entire computer. Sounds good. And a shared folder sounds really good. Now, I set up a network share on the same Windows Server data stores where the daily computer backups are kept. So same disk, same network, all the same factors. Trying to keep things the same where possible. All right, so browsing network neighborhood. Not working. How about and do I need the name of the share? Shouldn't. But I'm going to need credentials. See if that works. Invalid. Okay, I got to specify the name of the share, which in my case is test. Let's see if that works. Nice. So the network share worked. Daily 12:30 a.m. Okay. I'll leave those defaults alone. In my case, let's just run it. All right, we can see the tray icon doing something. And we should be able to watch here. And we see the CPU cranking away and disk not doing so much yet. So far, a similar pattern. Is there a friendly UI to bring up? Like if I double click that, what happens? That's what happens. So we started that at 11:24. It just became 11:25. And this is a full backup. So this one's going to take a while. So if we have a look at the server here while this is going, we can see a couple things. This is the Windows Server dashboard, and I have a network share called test. If you look at its properties, you'll see it's shared out, the network share name of test, right? Let's see what's in it. We created a folder at 11:25 as expected. You can see this is drive F. Up here, drive F is the one that's busy. So the data is obviously flowing in, and here's the speeds coming in on the Ethernet, the gigabit. Now looking at the file types, there they are. VBM and a VBK file. And there you go, it's growing. So this is imaging, cloning, whatever you want to call it. The disk is getting its data copied over now for that first full backup. Okay, I'm still here, and it's at 99%. You can see the disk activity has fallen off, and the network is not doing much, and it just finished, 33 minutes. Cool, so we have the first backup done. Now, what I really want to see is a restore, but before I try to restore from the backup we just completed, let's make sure you're convinced I've done a restore. Okay, so we got a folder now on the desk, right? And that's going to revert. Show you the UI, and I haven't seen it myself, so let's dive in just a little bit. There's our settings. Cool. So if the system is busy with throttle, backup size and duration. Interesting. Okay, opening a support ticket. Submit feedback. That's going to bring up my browser. Okay, and it has me logging into the forums. See if the updater works. Seems to. and automatic is off by default. Huh. Okay, configure backup. It's the only thing I haven't clicked on yet. So have a look at that. All right, well, we've been through that wizard, and we can see it saved our settings. So I'm going to cancel. Ooh, can't really cancel out of it. Interesting. But that's okay. All right, time to reboot. And remember, I'm convinced you're going to see the reboot because, well, we got this. So let me show you. When I log in here, the remote desktop connection on the left croaked, right? So that makes sense. Time to reboot. Now we're going to want to be careful here and make sure I hit F12 to change to an alternate boot sequence. I want to boot from USB, right? So here it goes. You see the ThinkPad logo show up shortly here. There it is. Okay, alternate boot device. It's the verbatim. Store from that USB device. Hit enter and it's now booting. I believe it's a Windows PE-based environment. Sure looks like it. And it has our custom drivers injected into it. In other words, Wi-Fi and gigabit drivers if needed. If they weren't already in the Windows PE environment, it seems like Veeam is sticking them in there for you. This boot's going to be a bit slow. This is an older laptop, certainly not USB 3.0. And it's just a run-of-the-mill, cheap, stubby, small USB flash drive. So we'll wait for that boot to happen. I might speed up the clock a little bit. Okay, here's the bare metal recovery environment. So I'm click on that first option. We know it's network attached. It didn't find anything local. So it did seek out any local USB attached data stores to see if it could find something. Simply click next here. There, Veeam Backup Repository, it's grayed out. That's coming in a future release. So if you had Veeam Backup and Recovery V8 installed somewhere, you could use that as your data store rather than a Windows Network Share, which is what I'm using now. 10.1.100 test and requires credentials. Okay, here we go. Does it find the network? Sure did. That was quick too. So 11:25 p.m. The next button is lit up. There is only one backup. Kind of hard to go wrong on that. Just click next. Ooh. Not that hard to go wrong because I clicked on the wrong piece. There you go. Select a computer. Now the computer lights up. We're ready to click next. Click next. Full. And restore the entire thing. Absolutely. So I'm trusting this. But you know what? I have two backups, right? I got the Windows Server backup and I have this beta backup. So if one doesn't work, let's use the other. So it is going to nuke my local drives. And that's it. Click Run Now. Bring up clock again. And we'll get an idea how long this takes. Started at 4 minutes after the hour. You know, you can't see the server interface, but I can. So how about I slide that over, so you have a little more to look at as it does the restore. So that server interface, do you remember? Looking at that earlier, looks like this. Okay, the server has this large backup file, 25 gig in size, sounds about right. And then Ethernet, gigabit, it's now busy doing an actual restore. You can see the 1% progress over here. So probably a little confusing to see that, but this is my server, right? It's my network share, and the data is being fed out from this backup image file right here as I'm speaking. So there you have it. We now just wait. Remember the name of the share is called test. The folder is called backup job. and it put some stuff in there, including some sort of log file that was finished at 12:04 a.m. Why not show you those logs? Use endpoint transport. Okay. So we've got 2 more logs to check out. 64-bit, time zone, names of the files it's written, so forth. And not a whole lot in that one. Okay. More logs. That's where the agent's sitting. CPU, source, target. Another zip file. All right, well, there you've had a pretty good peek. Let's move back to the restore. We're 10% done already. Not bad. Well, that was fast. 16 minutes or so. Now, does it work? Let's just go ahead and reboot. And let's see if we have a nice, clean boot. I'm curious if it's going to show a check disk needed. Apparently, no. It didn't flag the NTFS file system as needing check disk. And what do you know? I'm back in action. So there you have it, my first restore. That means I should be able to bring up Remote Desktop again as well. Did it restore all files? Probably not. Things like swap files and temp folder. I'm not really sure. If we look at our C drive, 44. So yeah, we're right back where we were. And remember I said I was going to rename a folder on the desktop and it would revert to stuff? Well, it reverted to stuff. So yes, we've run the machine back 25 minutes in time or so, and it worked. So that's good. So this concludes my first look at Veeam Endpoint Backup. Now I just went to open up the user interface, and by double-clicking it, apparently it kicks off another backup. So kind of a usability thing until I'm used to it. Let's see if it cancels quickly. Not particularly. Now if I right-click here, can I bring up Control Panel? Not while it's canceling. So it's kind of a modal dialog or user interface. I got to wait for this cancel operation to finish before I can do these other right-click options. Okay, so I cancel. There we go. Settings, update. Okay, let's just close that. Right-click. Got a red X through it because I canceled the last job. Control Panel. Okay, I clicked it and it actually brought up kind of a log view, including that for 42 seconds it was trying to do something. So it's interesting. What if we do another backup? And we let it finish. So is it really going to take a while, or is it going to be very fast? This data hasn't changed. We'll find out soon. We know it'll throttle a bit, or we know it had a setting to behave if we're busy with the CPU or doing stuff with the machine. it should slow down the backup work in the background. Indeed, minimal CPU use. So let's just leave the mouse alone. And let's see how it does. Is there a UI for progress? 0% done. So we got this control panel going. Backup proceeding. We can get a look at how it functions. How does it behave? What does it do to system resources while it's doing its thing? Okay, it's hitting the disk now. And CPU. Calculating what's changed since the last backup, I'm guessing. And it's hitting the network a bit. So clearly it is looking at the backup image over there on the network share and deciding what to do. And top left, you see it's at 93% already. So it really moved fast once it figured out there wasn't anything to do, really. What can we say here? Well, it took 20-something minutes for a Windows Server 2012 R2 Essentials backup. So yeah, less than 3 minutes. Let's see, 2.6. So yeah, it's much faster at incremental backups. So far it does seem to be faster at that. What else? Restore. How does it do at a restore? So we got this incremental backup we just did. Let's go through the restore wizard. I have to select a restore point, open the backup browser window. Okay, so when I click finish, something's going to pop up here and allow me to browse the file system of the backup image. And there it is, the backup browser. All right, so I'll grab a utility from my util folder, and I can right-click. I can click here, I can copy. Let's see. Restore brings up what? Overwrite keep, copy to, choose folder. That was fast. Do what it's supposed to do? The answer is yes, it did. It dumped that old executable right in the root of my file system, and it kept the original day and time untouched. So it worked. So that was fast. So for routine operations, it's looking quite good. I like that it actually has detailed views by default. You can look at properties of files in the data store, or in the backed up image. So yeah, that function's working well too. Anything else? Entire volume. Let's see what the wizard looks like for there. User access control popped up. And I can't really imagine what we would do with this. I don't have a place to restore it to. Yeah, it's going to run into trouble as it tries to find somewhere to store it to. There's this custom disk mapping. Oh, that's cool. Looks kind of like a disk manager, Windows. All right, well, cancel out. There's no way I can successfully do that because I don't have a drive to restore to. I think that just about does it with my look at Veeam Endpoint Backup. Hopefully you found this video helpful. Thank you for watching and for visiting tinkertry.com.